Have you ever walked into an antique shop and just stood there and looked around and said, where do all these antiques come from? Well, once upon a time, they came from a picker. And I grew up with one of those pickers, and we'd take a truck from North Carolina up to New York City, knocking on doors. And we come back with a truckload of antiques every single time. And we'd sell them at auction on a Friday. But by Sunday, he'd be sitting around saying, all I want to do is knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door. All I want to do is knock on the door, picking and a grinning all day. Back to the truck with a jug in my hand, a basket in my teeth, and a jug in my hand. I f*** this up. All right, if you want to hear the rest of it, you got to leave 5 comments, and I got to stop shaking when I sing. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. That was...
All right, somebody throw this banjo away. We're here with David Kane, antiques dealer extraordinaire from Greensboro, North Carolina. You want me to just tell you the story?
Tell me the story.
So I'm down in South Carolina. I'm only 15. I go to the door, and the lady sucks me in, right? You know what that means, right? Come on in, son. It's before, just bling, I'm in. Well, I didn't have time to say, ma'am, can my dad come in? Because 4 eyes are better than 2, right?
Right.
That was the old line. 4 eyes are better than 2 when you're picking.
Always.
So you get your partner in, and y'all can both look. Well, I'm down in the basement. Now, I'm only 15, so I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm down in the basement, and I'm looking for fruit jars. Well, there's this big jar on it. You know what it says on it? Dave.
Oh.
Oh. Well, she says, son, you can have that jar. And I said, ma'am, that's all right. I don't even know a Dave. So I get back to the truck, and we leave, and we're driving. So my dad says, what'd they have down in the basement? I said, I don't know. That some jar signed Dave. He slams on the brakes, punches me in the mouth, turns around. So I go back to the door with a bloody lip. Well, it's been about 8 minutes, and there's another car in the driveway. So about a 30-year-old man comes to the door. He says, can I help you? I said, yeah, I was just down in your basement. He says, what? You was just down in my mama's basement? Why? And I said, well, because we're buying antiques. No, you're not. You ain't. You ever come back here, I'm calling the police. Sir, please. I don't want to hear no. Do I need to call them right now? So I walk back to the truck. It was a bad feeling.
It is a bad feeling.
So that's how I learned who Dave Drake was.
Oh.
Yeah. But I was only 15, so what do you know about Dave Drake? Have you ever had one?
Yes, I have.
Ooh, tell me. How'd you do it?
I found it at a flea market.
You're kidding.
Atlanta. I didn't buy it for anything. And I didn't sell it for anything either.
Well, that's...
But that was before they hit 50,000 and 60,000.
Yeah.
But it was, you saw the beauty, and then you didn't, that's all I knew. But because the shape was gorgeous.
Right.
Like all that stuff down there, like the face jugs. Because I remember just because I had met a couple people with the pottery, and I used to know Billy Ray personally.
Right.
And I said to him, can I buy a kiln? He says, sure, you can buy a kiln.
Oh, a whole load.
A whole kiln.
Right.
He says, what do you want? And I said, just you make what you want. I don't tell artists what to do.
There you go. That's smart.
And so he made me this, and so I cut somebody in for half, and he made all the money. I still believed it was new pottery, and new pottery never, to me, it never brought anything.
Right.
And so you just, as a picker, you just turned it over.
Right.
And I did fine.
Yeah, you bought a face jug for 40, you sell it for 80. Or a little line. What did he charge for his lines? 100?
He's probably around, it was around $100.
Yeah. So
they didn't sell for a lot.
Now, what year was this?
It was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because he used to go to Atlanta with me and set up.
Right.
He went like 6 times. And he would go, and he and his wife would go and set up. And that was during my infertility days. And I couldn't smoke any dope. And he goes, oh, come on, one more bottle.
Oh, that's funny.
I said, no, we're not doing that.
That's funny.
Well, we could drink.
So for those of you who don't know, Billy Ray Hussey, I call Billy Ray Hussey the godfather of folk pottery. And here's why. Because his uncle was M.L. Owens. And everybody hates on M.L. Owens face jugs. Oh, they're not worth but $80. But that's y'all's fault, okay? They're worth way more than that. M.L. Owens was born in 1916. Name me another face jug maker that was born in 1916, okay? He operated Jugtown in 1960. And you're not paying more than $80 for his face jugs, but you're paying $400 for some guy who was born in 1989 and has no reason why he's making face jugs. I mean,
and he taught all of them how to make glazes.
And so
HusseyFor and Jurette.
So this to me is why Billy Ray Hussey is the godfather of folk pottery. When was Billy born? I mean, it had to be what?
He's 20 years.
Can somebody fact check us on that? I've been watching the debates. Fact check me on that.
Is he 54?
I don't know. They're gonna tell us, but
Billy Ray.
The reason why I call him the godfather is because when he was a little boy, and I know you know this, but we're going to tell these people, he was running around M.L. Owens' shop in the Jugs Seagrove area making animals out of the wet clay. Okay, so Billy was born in 1955. So by 1965, Billy Ray Hussey was making little animals in his uncle's shop, and his uncle was M.L. Owens. So Billy's first pottery is signed Owens, and then also it's signed B.H., and that's his earliest. That's probably, 70s?
Yeah, because he worked for him.
Yeah.
And he taught him where the clay wouldn't blow up.
Right. And that red glaze, I would suspect that now today the red glaze is plenty available, but back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that red glaze, you couldn't just go on Amazon and order red glaze. So he was one of the only M.L. Owens was one of the only potters that could formulate that red glaze because it was a recipe or something, right?
There was a recipe for the red glaze.
Sully, there's two face jugs, the larger ones, they're sitting on top of the green cloth. Bring them over here. So these are unsigned. Knowing what I know, I'm 100% that they're Billy Ray Hussey, but I just want you to see them. And I'll say this, I'm 99% because if a piece of pottery is not signed, there is a small percentage, but, and the walking sticks here. Now, do you recognize this as a very early Billy? I mean, I'm talking like.
Oh, yeah. I would call this a Billy.
But it's I just don't see anywhere where it's signed. But if these were signed, they would be signed Owens and BH. So this is his. And the reason I know is because I've had pieces like this. So one of my first auctions, I got invited into a house to look at pottery, and she literally had like 300 pieces of M.L. Owens. And what happens is these collectors fall in love with an artist, and they don't have 5. They end up with 500. That's just how it is. And she fell in love with M.L. Owens.
Reasonable also.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they're just trying to make a living. They're not trying to make money. They're trying to make a living, and that's respectable. And, to them, if they can turn 5 of these in an hour and get $50 a piece, they're making $250 an hour. That's how they look at it.
But you had to watch, and because Billy was fast.
Right.
All the rest were slow.
Right.
All the rest, the ones who did folk pottery, like Lions and stuff like that from Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of different shows, and you would watch him make a lion, and he said it took him a week to make a lion, and he looked at Billy, and he didn't want to talk to Billy anymore because he did a lion a day.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes a lion in 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it dried, and it would fire. And he says, I have my drying time's 30 or 40 days. He says, my drying time's less.
Yeah.
So he was that good. I still think he's going to go down as one of the best century folk pottery.
100%. And that's what, I'm glad that this is an organic occurrence that we're talking about Billy Ray. We opened today to do an auction. I'm supposed to be doing an auction right now. We didn't know we were going to talk about Billy Ray Hussey today. But I'm glad we are because I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. I can say this because I see a Randy Tobias face jug, even Marvin Bailey. As much as I love Marvin Bailey, they're getting more respect than a Billy Ray Hussey face jug. And it should be the opposite. Billy Ray Hussey, 100%, just click it in your brain, is the godfather of folk pottery. I mean, he was making these folk pottery lions back in the 70s. I mean, we'd probably have to ask Billy, like, when did you make your first lion? But his very first lions don't look anything like they do today.
I mean, I had a lion this big.
Yeah.
And I still have half of it.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I remember that when I went to your house. So
this is the one I dropped.
I went to his house, and as soon as I walk in, he's got this huge, this pie safe is stunning, is killer. And under the pie safe, there's this lion head that's that big. The head of the lion is that big, and he's poking out underneath the pie safe. And I'm like, holy cow, is that Billy Ray Hussey? He was like, yes, it is. And I go to pick it up, and it's half. It's half of a lion. I'm like, uh-oh.
And I had gotten that from ML.
Right.
On the shelf.
So those early lions have a very distinct look. They're more yellow glaze. Most of them are yellow glaze with brown hair. And they're signed Owens BH. And then he left out the Owens. I don't know, I can't tell you the year, but then he started signing them BH. So that's the next weighted datum. And then he started putting his kilns.
Kiln numbers.
Yeah. So he's at like 67 right now. How many kilns did he do a year?
He tried to do between 2 and 4.
Okay. So just because the people watching here, they probably don't have any idea what we're talking about. So what happens is Billy will take the wet clay and he'll turn, 50 face jugs. How many lions would he do? How many lions is he doing now? 10?
I bet she's not doing many.
In his heyday, how many was he doing each kiln?
Oh, well, probably 10.
10 to 20.
Because you would do miniatures, but he wouldn't do anything as big as I'd got.
Right. He was doing the big stuff early on.
Right.
So he would get, 200 or 300 pieces of pottery together.
At least
200 pieces would go into a kiln. Was it a groundhog kiln, or do we know?
Groundhog.
So it was dug out of the earth, and they would pack the kiln. You could YouTube this, and you could see, probably not Billy Ray Hussey, but you can see Berlin Craig's kiln. And so 300 pieces of pottery would fire at once, and then it would come out of the kiln, and he'd have what's called a kiln opening. Did you have to get a number?
You had to get a number.
So if he had his kiln opening on Saturday, March 2nd, you'd show up as early as possible, you'd get a number. And if you were lucky enough to get number 1, what did that mean? You got first pick.
You got pick of the litter.
So you could only pick one item?
But you picked the best. I mean,
what you thought was the best.
I would say to the other patrons to pick the best. Don't be fooling around.
Yeah.
Buy the best one, because...
And, it's subjective.
You're not going to be able to get this stuff anymore in 20 to 50 years, because this is how good this guy is. But I was just, running my mouth.
Well, he never sold out. Billy's still his own. Let's see that right here. So here's one of his, dang, you went in my back room, bro. So this is kiln 49. So he did 2 kilns a year?
Yeah, and this one much later.
Yeah, 49. So
it wasn't the early ones. The early ones are much different. The early ones look like a John Bell.
Right.
Which is up the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah, and they bring 200,000. They were made in 1820.
Right.
Shenandoah Valley, John Bell, the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts, MESDA, has a John Bell. It looks like a John Bell. Heck, listen, I think some of these guys can make pottery, and you can't tell if it's old or not. I mean, some people have the ability to do that.
Well, I think the only way you can tell is glaze wide.
Yeah.
You can't tell. Dirt's dirt.
Yeah, dirt. It's just dirt. There's a book called "It's Just Dirt," and it's about pottery.
I mean, you can tell because it's not like he never used.
Yeah, there's nowhere. If this jug dragging across, they would have used this in 1850,
right? And
it would be worn down. So obviously, most potters aren't trying to fake anybody out, but I mean, it could get really scary really quick. So, folks, what we have here is a typical Billy Ray Hussey face jug. In his later period, after about 1990, he was producing these, and this is a great size right here. See how, they This is about the smallest they get before they go miniature. Then they go a little bit bigger than this, and his early ones would be sitting, the head would be sitting this high, and they could be this big. They could take up that much room. That's how big they do get. And that's how special. If you ever see one that big, it's a special piece.
It's a special piece.
Yeah, and you need to shell out the dollars. And so this is a much different one. So this is a little bit larger than his normal ones, but this one has a base on it, and it is kiln 59. So it's actually later than that one. So, and if you got to get deep into the style, but that's a totally different style lion than what.
And by the way, it is.
No, it's a great piece.
It's a great piece.
And so, how many people would show up at his kiln?
Surprisingly, only about 40.
40.
And then I was always amazed that, and sometimes you had to convince them to buy a few.
So everybody would get what, 5 pieces, 6 pieces?
Oh, there would always be leftovers. It was kind of interesting.
Right.
I mean, I start running my mouth and saying that this is probably going to be one of the best folk potters from the 20th century.
Yeah, and that was back in what,
That was
when you said that?
In late 80s, early 90s.
So well before the time of the internet.
Well before the internet. And
have you ever seen a painting by Billy?
No.
All right, so what we have here is a Billy Ray Hussey painting. And
but it's got a Berlin
crying eye.
And there's one of his lions.
That's a lion face jug.
Lion face.
And we've sold those. We sold one for $1,600 once. Yes. And it's magnificent. And then this is another one. How do I do this? Here we go. This came from Barry Tancer. And Barry's a big time collector in Ohio, and he just moved. I mean, I'm talking about 1,500 pieces of pottery. Yeah. And it's all contemporary. And he went to Billy's kilns, and he said, I got to the point where I had a lot of his pottery, so I get there, and I've never seen a painting before. And he drew a low number. He said, I got the painting. He said it happened twice in a row.
Oh.
So I've never seen a painting by Billy Ray Hussey, but you're looking at it, and it's freaking awesome.
It is. Really, I didn't know he had it in him, but he does.
Well, he needs to do more of them. We need to get him on the phone. When paint gets built up on a canvas, collectors like that. So there's a great buildup of paint, and that is a description on these. The buildup of paint is really good. All right, so tell me the very first day you met Billy Ray Hussey.
I kept asking ML, can I meet this artist?
So you met ML Owens.
Oh, yeah, I met ML Owens in 1980.
Can we get a date of death on ML Owens? So you met ML Owens, and you heard about his nephew, Billy Ray Hussey.
Well, I've always liked funky things.
Right.
Because I like country furniture.
Right.
And the accessories to go with it. And here was this shelf at Owens Pottery. And here was this funky stuff on
lions and tigers and bears.
Face jugs.
Right.
Where does this come from? He goes, it's he didn't say nephew. I never knew it was a nephew.
Right.
And he said, it's just this kid. And I really like what he does. And I've been teaching him a few things.
Wow.
And every time I'd go down there, which was every other month, I would say, can I meet this guy? Can you tell me where he lives? And it took a long time. It took a year of just talking to him to get to Billy Ray.
Right.
And then once I got to Billy Ray, it was, I'd visit him every other.
Right. And that's why he held back, probably, because he knew. I mean, ML held back telling you where Billy was because he wanted you to come see him. He was trying to sell pottery to you.
And I wasn't going to buy. I've never liked utilitarian pottery.
So Billy Ray Hussey, you met him after ML exposed his work. This guy was born in 1916 making face jugs. He's got to be, besides the Reinhardt face jugs, which are worth, $30,000, he's got to be one of the oldest contemporary face jug makers in North Carolina, ML Owens. And then his nephew, Billy Ray Hussey, soon becomes the godfather of folk pottery because he was under the tutelage of the earliest known contemporary maker. I mean, Berlin Craig, find out when Berlin Craig was born. Okay, so Berlin Craig was born in 1914. Yeah. Well, here's what I could say about that. Berlin Craig probably produced, I'm just going to guess, I'm going to say 10,000 face jugs. I'm going to say 10,000, possibly more. I'm going to say M.L. Owen produced 1,000. I don't think he did that many.
I don't think he did that.
I mean, now we see them, and they bring $80. So if you want to invest in a face jug, I'd pick up an $80 M.L. Owens in a minute. And let me tell you what I found at that house. The lady that invited me into her house to take pottery had 300 pieces of M.L. Owens. She had some of the best face jugs I've ever seen. She had a wig stand, an M.L. Owens wig stand. Yeah. Which is a face jug with a closed top.
Yeah.
It's just a wig stand. Very rare. Super rare. I never could get it from her. She didn't want to sell it, and she didn't want to auction it. A lot of people in their collection, they want to die with things like that. I'll sell these 300, but I want to look at these till the end. I want to look at these 10 till the end. And that's how it goes when you collect.
Yep. And
we're talking to collectors, and we're talking to non-collectors who find these shorts on TikTok because they don't know how to go to sleep. So they stay up all night and just do this. And we're happy for you guys. That's what we want. But do us a favor, get on wherever you buy them from, and get on some Billy Ray Hussey, because I think it's better than crypto. I think whatever you can buy today of Billy Ray Hussey, I think in 20 years, you're going to be making money. It's better than the stock market. Let's put it that way. You got to not break it, though. Dude, tell me about that. How much pottery have you broken? Seriously.
No,
I am breaking more and more pottery.
I haven't broken any.
Oh, my God. You've never broke a piece of pottery?
Oh, no, I like the big lion.
Yeah, okay.
Slipped off the front porch, and here I see it in the air.
Oh,
and I'm going, no. And I should have hurt my back and everything, but I got up right away, and I just about wept when I looked at Billy Ray's broken in two. I said, all I can save is the front. The ass end was good anyway. So I had to throw it away, and it was sad that should have never thrown any of it away. I should have bagged it, but.
I'm known in this industry as the monkey jug man since 2010. I've been known as the monkey jug man.
I always like monkey jug.
Yeah, they're hard to find. Old ones. So picking. I would keep whatever pottery we got. I would sell the best because you got to live, right?
Sure.
But I ended up with so much crap, and so finally one day in about 2006, I said, okay, I picked my first monkey jug, $50. And I said, this is what I'm going to collect because they're so hard to find. So I wasn't finding but 2 a year. Well, 15 years, I end up, and I had a deal pre-Berlin Craig, because Berlin made a lot of monkey jugs. So I, if I included him, I'd be buying a monkey jug every month. So pre-Berlin Craig, North Carolina monkey jugs. So that puts them, 1950 and older, which most of them are from the 30s. Mm-hmm. So being the monkey.
Who made most?
The Reinhardts made a lot of them. In North Carolina.
Most of them green?
Yeah, most of them are Western North Carolina, which would be alkaline glaze. And, people like me and you call that green. We'll say that to a civilian, and they'll say, I don't understand why you're calling this green. Well, look at it compared to salt glaze. Salt glaze is brown. This is what we call green. But you got to tell people that. They don't just pick up on it. So mostly Western Carolina. I got some by the Hartzos, and that's early. That's like 1920. The Reinhardts, Probst, Donkel made some. That's super early, super rare.
How many do you own?
Well, I'm in the 30s, but we're talking about this because we're talking about pottery that we've broken.
Oh,
so I'm about to cry. So
get him a cleaner.
We move into this house, and I didn't really want to disturb the wall too much, so I put one of those sticky things, and I hung a small painting. And so this was over a fireplace, so on the mantle, I had about 10 monkey jugs, but I had a really good one here, and the 2 Donkels right here, which are super rare. I mean, I think I paid like $1,500 for one, and I scooped one up for like $700, right? Well, one night, about a couple months later, we're like, what is that? And I walk into that room, and the painting had fell and knocked over those 3 monkey jugs. Huh. Oh, my God. And I didn't throw them away. They're in They are in separate totes, and I need to get them repaired, but I just hadn't done it yet. It's miserable.
Did you sit on the floor and cry?
No, I took it like a man. I mean, it's, my God. And it's not, the money's the money, but it's more like the history.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you going to find a Donko monkey jug? I mean, I'm talking like 1900, and the form and the shape and just everything about it was so cool. But they're in 30 pieces now. But yeah, broken pottery is just part of it. When you deal with thousands of pieces of pottery, you break pottery.
Oh, yeah. Well, you deal with thousands.
I deal with thousands of pieces. Now, we'll go into a collection and take 600 pieces of pottery and not break a single one. Or we could go in and run out of tape and we fold the bottom of a box and wrap up 43 miniatures and then go to lift it up and they all fall out and we break 17 pieces. But see, I'm a man. I said, here's the deal. I'm going to give you so much money for these and we're just going to squash this right now. So yeah, it was a bad day. That was a bad day. That
had to be a bad day.
That was a bad day. I mean, and then one time my dad brought out a 2/3 chest of drawers, solid in North Carolina, bracket feet about like that, brought it out of a house, set it behind the truck. He goes back in. I'm sitting at the truck asleep. He wakes me up. He's like, we're down in South Carolina or something. He's like, get out here and load this chest of drawers. So I'm taking the drawers out, right? I lay a drawer down. I go in the house to get something else he bought to come out. I'm like, I'm going to back the truck up. I go to back up. I run over the freaking drawer.
I hope you cried on that.
Dude, I felt like a dick. I mean, my dad was actually really cool about it. He glued it up. That's the thing about wood, man.
You can glue it.
Dude, you break a piece of pottery, you're screwed. You break something wood, you can glue it back. It's actually acceptable.
Well, actually, pottery, it is one thing and one thing only. A broken piece of pottery.
Yeah, when you break a piece of pottery, it's over. You might as well. I mean, you really might as well throw it away.
You might as well.
Because if you start keeping broke pottery, you're going to end up with like 30 pieces of broke pottery before it's done.
I always say, sell it.
Sell it.
Just let it go. Back
to Billy Ray Hussey. I highly recommend any Billy Ray Hussey right now. Normally, when it goes to auction, we're looking at, $200 to $500. I think it's a good investment. I think his lions could be their valuation, in 10 years, especially when he slows down. He's already slowed down, but when he really slows down, I think the valuation on those lions, I don't think you're going to be able to touch them for $1,000. I think they're good investment.
I think you're right.
And every now and then they bring $1,600, $1,000, $1,200, but routinely you can buy one for $400. Okay, so now we have some really good Billy Ray Hussey.
That Billy Ray is more modern, correct?
Well, so here's the lineage here. Here we have Billy Owens and BH. This one is signed Owens and BH.
That's right on the belly.
And then this one, this is how large they get large. They get bigger than this, but this one is kiln in Roman numerals 22. So this is an earlier. Now, here we have one. What does that say? Can you read?
6.
Super early kiln marked. I mean, can you see? Not can you read, can you see?
You asked me, can I read?
Can you see? We are in folk art. So this is BH number 6. This is pretty early. And here is M.L. Owens face jug.
And that's his signature fire engine red.
Right. I mean, $80. I mean, they routinely bring $89. Now, we did sell one time for $1,200, and you should have seen the Facebook explosion. It seemed like they didn't like that it brought $1,200. It was weird. It was up to $1,200 before the auction went off. Pre-bids it got up to $1,200, and it had a little blue slip right here, and so somebody was like, I guess it's because it has marker on the mouth, and so I had to type in, you bum some dude. It's not marker, it's slip decoration. You like that self-edit right there? That was good. No, but the original post was like, I can't believe this ML Owens Face Jug is bringing $1,200 right now when you can buy them anywhere for $120. And then so all these people popped in. I got one for, I'll sell you for 90. I've got 5, I'll sell you for 100 a piece. And it's like, bros, y'all are the ones setting the market so low for this. Why are you trying to stifle it? I don't know. I mean, is it because of the way they look? Because it, I mean, the man was born in 1916. Who made face jugs that could say that? I was born in 1916. I just think they're undervalued, and I think that it's something that a young person right now, if you're trying to get into the field, it's a quality piece of pottery made by a quality potter who has a lot of accolades, like you said earlier, and he's the uncle of Billy Ray Hussey, who is the godfather of folk pottery, and that's that. I think they're good. It's a good investment. You should buy every one you get. And remember, whoever dies with the most wins. You probably told me that. I probably stole that from you.